think particularly for mains, the syllabus is very vast.
Right.
So it is essential that we draw a boundary for ourselves and we stick to that boundary.
Every year, I think at least 30-40% questions get repeated.
Exactly.
At least theme-wise, they will get repeated.
What they do is, instead of going by the demand, they go with what they know about.
What is the approach that you have? And I think that is something that all of us would like to know. Hello and welcome to Clarity for UPSC. I am Dr. Shivin. How to write a good answer in the UPSC Mains and create the maximum number of points possible. That is the agenda for today. और ये discuss करने के लिए we have with us All India Rank 7 in this year's UPSC Civil Services exam, Rajah Mohaideen. So firstly, Rajah, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So Rajah has been a student of Write Smart, and I think after talking to him, मुझे realize हुआ that he is the one who has used these templates in the most efficient manner. तो आज हम ये समझेंगे कि टेम्पलेट्स को यूज करके और डिमांड को अंडरस्टैंड हम कैसे करते हैं. एंड ये सिर्फ बातें नहीं होंगी. आई थिंक इट वुड बी बेटर इफ वी कैन डेमोन्स्ट्रेट दिस. Right, so we will take 4 questions, one from GS1, one from GS2, one from GS3 and one from GS4, and rather than me telling you the approaches, Raja will tell what approaches he has used. So before we take the questions, Raja, just a broad idea on why PYQs are something that are very useful for the exam.
Sir, because I think particularly for mains, the syllabus is very vast.
Right.
So it is essential that we draw a boundary for ourselves and we stick to that boundary particularly. So that is where PYQs come into role, and it helps us to draw a boundary for ourselves. For example, let's say someone after prelims, they're picking up world history for the very first time. So there they can use the PYQs to draw a boundary for themselves and not go beyond that. For example, even in 2025, they just asked from French Revolution, which was again asked previously in the PYQs.
Right.
So that is it. That is where your PYQs come into play.
So there are two things here broadly. That one, you get a broad limit to the syllabus, right? That okay, there is a broad syllabus term, but these are the things that are most important. And secondly, every year, I think at least 30-40% questions get repeated.
Exactly.
At least theme-wise, they will get repeated. So 30-40% of your mains paper will be a sort of repetition of whatever they have asked before. So that also is something that is useful.
Yes, sir.
So अब questions पे आते हैं and let's take some questions. So this is a question from your mains.
Yes, sir.
GS1 in 2025, and this is a particularly difficult question to write. So मैं अपना question पढ़ देता हूँ सबके लिए. Discuss the distribution and density of population in the Ganges River Basin with special reference to land, soil and water resources. This is not a previous year question, and even questions like this have not really been asked before. So in this question, please tell me, how do I break down the question?
Yes, sir.
And what subparts should I find?
Yeah. So basically the major role when you're looking at a question is to find the demand of the question.
Right.
What they want you to basically write. So that is what is very important in every question of mains. And that is where when you're hitting the demand, you get extra 2 marks than a person who's not hitting the demand. And those 2 marks combined is what pushes our score to plus 10 or plus 15, and you ultimately clear it. So here, understanding the demand is very important. So they have asked us to discuss the distribution and density of population in the Ganga River Basin. So the main demands or the main heroes of this question will be distribution and density, and not your land, soil and water resources. Right. So if it was me, if I were to write it again, then I would also divide it into 2 halves. First half would be about the distribution of it. The second part would be the density of it. Now, what people generally do is, instead of going by the demand, they go with what they know about. Right. So they might be much aware of the land, soil and water resources available in the Ganges River Basin. Right. So they will divide the answer into land, soil and water resources, and maybe that is how they write. But that won't fetch us good marks. Right. So basically, if I have to divide this into subparts, one will be distribution. Exactly. And there you will write land, soil and water. And one will be density. And then you will write land, soil and water. But here I can see an issue. And that issue is that what if the points are similar? Then what do we do? The points might be similar because same, if it is a fertile land, the distribution will be more in a fertile land compared to an unfertile land, and similarly density will be high over there in a fertile land. It's basically the same point, but still I feel that it doesn't matter if you write the same points. We are still addressing the demand of the question, so that is what matters. It is not our fault that the same factor is playing the same role in distribution and density. So maybe we can show a bit of difference in the examples. For example, for density, we can use the example of a delta region. For distribution, maybe we can use an example of a fertile plains. So maybe like that.
other approach that I can think of is that they have asked the entire river basin. So we can think of the river basin from its origin
exactly.
to its
Exactly.
end, right? It
Yeah, yeah,
starts from the Himalayas technically, right? Even that is a river basin
River
where the
basin.
river is
Exactly,
originating.
exactly.
And then it is to the delta where it goes in Bangladesh and West Bengal. So even there, that is also part of the river basin.
Exactly.
So if we can look at that entire region, we can come up with examples also.
Yeah.
Point यहाँ पर ये है कि अगर same points भी हैं, तो भी दो बार लिख दो उस चीज को, थोड़ा different example देके, because examiner will probably read the answer vertically, right? And if in our sheet he sees, okay, distribution is separate, density is separate, land separate, soil separate, water separate, he will definitely feel that yes, good marks need to be awarded here.
Exactly.
So this was the first demonstration about how to get the demand and break down the question.
Exactly.
Let's now look at another question.
Yeah.
I'll tell what the issue in this question is, and then you can tell how you handled it. So question is from GS2 of 2025. Women's social capital complements in advancing empowerment and gender equity. Now, the moment I see empowerment and gender equity together, I will feel that they are the same words. Empowerment will lead to gender equity. For gender equity, you need empowerment. But this is a 10 marker. And I need 2 parts. And there is no critically examine or anything. The tail word is just explain.
Yeah.
So you just have to explain the statement. So now you have to create 2 parts. But how do you do that? How do you now come up with new points for empowerment and gender equity?
So this is where what we studied or our material comes into place.
Right.
So I have looked at the Right Smart material. In that there was a specific area given just for empowerment,
Right.
which talks about what are the various aspects of empowerment.
Right.
Mind you that material is not about social capital, but it is about empowerment.
Right.
But still that material can be linked here, and we
Right.
can show how social capital is helping in those 5 points of empowerment. So that is how we link it and write.
So I'll tell you the idea behind it. When I was making this material, empowerment is a term that gets asked almost every year. So I have identified some terms like
Exactly.
that. And on those terms, there are some templates. So for example, this is the template that we have for empowerment.
Yeah.
That there are these 5 points. Now the moment you hear women empowerment in your head, these 5 points are there. तो आपके ये 5 point तो हो ही गए.
Exactly.
For social capital.
Exactly.
And then you can write the gender equity part separately, right? Because equity, empowerment, these words they are using constantly, right? If you know the meaning of equity, it's not exactly equality, right? It's similar, not same.
Not the same.
Right? So you can write equity that way and empowerment that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe ये problem आ सकती है that points become similar and then they start getting merged. So second lesson we can take is, जैसे first question से हमने ये सीखा कि we have to make 2 subparts, right? Subpart 1 and subpart 2. So this is one thing.
Yeah.
And then if it is possible to create different points, then definitely we should
do it.
Different points, right? Okay, let us now look at another question. And this question I want you to also just read and think for 1 second that आपको क्या दिमाग में आता है. Explain the factors influencing the decision of farmers on the selection of high value crops in India. High value crops are horticulture and floriculture. Now, if a student were to think about this, the moment you see the word high value, we associate it with money, right? And it is asking why farmers are deciding to grow these high value crops. So, since money is in our mind, we will think farmers are getting more money for this, which is true.
Yeah.
And we will always come up with points relating to money. That okay, they can export this, they can maybe go to Apida and sell it somewhere. The productivity might be higher, their income will double. But these points are all iteration of the same thing, that they will get more money, right? How can we come up with different points?
New factors, basically. So basically for GS3, when we talk about agriculture, I generally think in a life cycle template, basically. So starting from the pre-production factors to the production factors to the post-production factors. Let him ask anything in agriculture, but still my answer would follow this template. Right. When you're thinking in this template, even you will be able to make up points which you were not making up before. That is the importance of having a template beforehand.
Right.
So you will be forced to think in a point. Now that I've told you, I've given you a hint of pre-production, now you yourself will now come up with points. So what are the pre-production factors? Land, the fertilizers to be used, all those things will be the pre-production factor. So the same, so that is why a template-based approach is much more
So
important.
इसी question में अगर हम example लें,
exactly, this is the thing.
Right. So in the input stage, and this is like a screenshot from Right Smart notes only. So from input, we can now add whatever things we can add.
Yeah.
Right? कि seeds available हैं,
हाँ.
research available है, fertilizer available है, इसीलिए भी तो लोग they are taking this decision. Right? Insurance is available. Government is promoting organic farming. Government is promoting agroforestry.
Yeah.
So this is also a reason. And then even in post-production phase,
there are different other aspects.
There are aspects like transport and storage. There are aspects like food processing.
Yeah, I still remember writing transport storage.
Right. In this answer.
Yeah, which someone would not think of.
Right.
If they're not thinking.
And if you think like this, now you know that there is a domestic market and there is an export market
as well.
There is also something like income of the consumers. So consumer income is rising.
Exactly.
And therefore consumers might be thinking that we want more vegetables, fruit, floriculture, etc. we want. So demand is also rising.
So demand based factors. Right. Yeah, demand side factors.
So I think यहाँ पे important the thing that you are saying is that in every question you can use this template.
Again, this is not notes for the high value crops question. This is a note. This is a basic screenshot for which can be used for any agriculture question that can be asked. So this year they might ask another thing. So but for that also we can use the same approach. So this approach gives you ready-made points, and it also helps you to think in this way to write a lot of points within that time frame of 11 minutes for this 15 marker.
Right.
That is the thing.
Now Rajah is also the highest scorer in GS4 this year.
Yeah.
Right. So firstly, I'd just like to ask you how you have prepared GS4, just in a brief.
In briefs. So GS4, basically I just didn't prepare this year. I've done it for the past 2-3 years, sir.
Right.
I focus a lot on being much more organic. That is the thing that helped me to get the highest, I think. I was not repeating any examples that are usually found in materials. So I myself was researching.
It was like a self-preparation.
Yeah. So I did self-prep. So I myself searched the examples and then I found them. These were all stuff that were unique to me. So I only will be writing them. So that I think provided an edge for me in ethics.
Right.
Yeah.
So let us now also look at the GS4 question.
Again,
Now this question says that Karl von Clausewitz once said, war is a diplomacy by other means. Critically analyze the above statement in present context of contemporary geopolitical conflict.
Yeah.
Now how did you handle this question?
So here we again have to understand what are the demands of the question.
Right.
So the first thing is we have to critically analyze the statement. Critically analyze is the keyword here. We have to analyze the statement. War is a diplomacy by other means. So when you are like critically analyzing this, it means that you write more about the negatives of the statement or statements disproving the statement, and then write a certain part of the question for the statement. So, but the portion that you are writing against the statement should be much more compared to the for portion. So that is the demand of the question actually. And another inner demand is also to write examples in the present context, where you show the
old examples might not be useful.
Exactly. So this is where my examples came into play, where we write about newer examples here. It will help you, right? So that is where it plays.
So in this question, see, we have to support this statement also, and we have to disagree with also. So can you give me an idea that what percentage or what part, how much you would like to disagree and how much you would like to support this statement in this? Because what I have seen, and maybe this was also the problem that I had when I was writing, that if I were to see this question, maybe I would just write 50% for and 50% against. But what do you think should be the ideal approach? Exactly.
So because technically this is a 10 marker, so generally people write it in 5 or 7 minutes, and they don't give much importance to how much they are writing for or against, and they just write 5 points for against, 5 points for and then move on. But actually hitting the demand would be to write almost 70% of the answer for against the statement, and then maybe 30% for it. So this is what will fetch you those 2-3 extra marks, which will then push your score above 130 and 135.
Probably because the statement is also not a great thing. It's technically a negative statement. It's justifying that war is a good thing. Like war is just like a diplomacy only, right? But it's not. War costs life. Diplomacy doesn't, right? So we maybe have to focus more on
the examiner wants you to disprove it,
right? And say that war is not a good thing, especially when India's approach has always been that land of peace and Buddhaji and Gandhiji and all of that. Now, in summary, can you tell me that the moment you look at a question, what is the thing that goes in your head? And see, because if you have 7 minutes to write a 10 marker, you will take 5 to 6 minutes to just fill the pages. Maybe have just 1 minute to think. So the moment you see a question, what is the approach that you have? And I think that is something that all of us would like to know.
The first thing would be to understand the demand of it, because I'm repeating it. Understanding the demand and writing to the demand is what is going to get you marks.
Right.
Second is I will be a bit innovative in how I break down the demand into subparts.
Okay.
Right. So here in the GS3 question, we saw that we broke the demand. The demand is basically factors. So we broke them down into subparts of pre-production factors, production and post-production factors. So this is where your innovation comes in. Someone else would have just blindly written the factors and would have come.
Right.
They will get lesser marks than someone who has divided it into subparts. So dividing it into subparts has two advantages. First one is that it makes it a bit more innovative, and second one is that it forces you to write more points, which is again good for getting more marks. So I will understand the demand of it. I will try to break it down into subparts. I will obviously use the various templates that were given to try to see which or in what way should I be breaking them down into subparts. So these two things will come, and obviously for introduction I will try to look for a hook similar to our YouTube videos where we put a hook in the beginning.
Right.
So I'll try to put a hook so that the examiner is reeled into it and he is a bit more excited to read the question.
Right. So firstly, thank you, Raja, for doing this, and I think this is something that generally people don't discuss in that much detail. But I think everything in this video we can learn from, right? How to break down how to use definitions, how to use a preset template, the importance of tail words. And I'd just like to inform all of you that even after getting selected, Raja is still involved with the community. He's teaching, he's guiding people. So in the link of this, in the description of this video, I will put the link of his Telegram channel. Please do check it out, and he is helping people a lot. And again, thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.